Do you have an advisor that you'd like to separate from? Well, that can be very, very uncomfortable. So you might wonder, how do you break up with your advisor? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to gain clarity for your personal retirement plan, and you'll have action items to secure your retirement.
To learn more about securing your retirement and all the different elements you need to know, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a video every Monday. We have helped hundreds of our clients gain clarity and get on the path to a comfortable and happy retirement. Now it's your turn. Let's dive in.
Welcome, everyone, to our Retirement in Action, episode 90. It's amazing that we're at episode 90, but we've been able to answer a ton of questions that we get. And we're kind of at a point where we actually have had some questions coming up from new clients as well as other folks that basically have this question around, what if I want to move from one advisor to the other? How do I do it? How do I break up with my current advisor? I think about that. You know, it is really like a relationship. And it's one of those things where we've had some people who have moved to us that have been with another advisor for 10, 15 years. And so they say, I want to do this, but it's an emotional deal for me. I know this person really well, and I have a relationship with them. I know about their family. They know about my family, but I know it's the right thing to move, but how do I do it? And it's like breaking up with somebody, but we're going to just talk to you a little bit about the logistics of that, how to do that. If you're ever in that scenario where you're trying to have a conversation and you're trying to think about those steps. But before we say how to do it, I think it's important that we say, why would you ever break up with your current advisor? So Merce, could you kind of help us to kind of get our minds around the why would you ever break up with your current advisor?
Yeah, sure. And we see it all the time. And before I get into it, the first thing I think that you should get away from this is that you got to remember, even if you've been with an advisor for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you have this relationship, you got to remember it's your money. You have worked very hard to build up this money, and you got to do what feels right for you. We talk all the time about, the math and the planning and the investment side. That's very important, but also being comfortable with the person that you're working with is also very important. So I wouldn't take that lightly. Once again, it is your money, and so you're in control. You are always in control. But as far as the why you would ever think about breaking up with the advisor that you have currently, things happen, and it's not all negative. Obviously, the most common reason is going to be that you're just not happy with maybe the performance or maybe the communication that you're getting from your current advisor. That's the most common one. And so you start to think about, hey, what else is out there? But there's some other things that happen, and it's usually not that advisor's fault. It's just life happens, and that's another big one. Life changes, right? So think about it. When you're young, you're putting money into different various buckets, and maybe you hire an advisor and they have a certain goal set, and it works really well with you, because when you're younger, typically you want to be more aggressive in the way that you invest. And really all you're focused on is that investment part of your life. You're not really focused on retirement planning just yet, because you got to build up the assets first. That's really important. And so maybe you went with that person, that advisor that's really just there to handle the money, the investment advisor. And then you get down the road, and now this concept of retirement is becoming something closer and more tangible. And maybe that advisor that you're with currently, while he or she may have done a great job, they're just not set up to really take care of those other needs that you may have that are coming as you get into your 50s, and making sure that planning is being done and not just the investment side is being done. So that's a huge reason, which is life changes, and you got if your advisor is not going to adapt with your life changes, well, then maybe you need to find another advisor. Sometimes advisors change their overall philosophy, and you signed up with them for a reason A, and now their philosophy has become B, and maybe you don't like that. And so really no fault to you or the advisor. It's just an advisor can change, and maybe you decide that change is not right for you. So you can start looking elsewhere. Another big common one is that an advisor may be retiring soon, and you either A, don't know who you're going to end up with as far as your main contact, And so maybe that makes you uncomfortable. Maybe you love your advisor, but at the story is, I mean, you're trying to work to retirement. Advisors are doing the same thing. At the end of the day, everyone wants to get to retirement. And so maybe that advisor is retiring. It makes you sad, but you don't know who you're going to end up with. So you start looking around again. And then the team changes. So maybe you started with one advisor, but eventually you got shifted to a junior advisor or someone that was in training, and you actually never really get to talk to the person that you originally started the relationship with. That's another common one too. And we hear about that all the time, and how that can be frustrating, that this person is the one that he taught me his beliefs, and now I never really talked to him ever again. So those are just some of the reasons. Once again, life happens. There can be multiple reasons. We see it all the time. So I think now that we kind of know why we may want to consider breaking up with our advisor, the things that can happen throughout life that cause that decision. Now let's talk about, well, how you can start looking for a new advisor and what that really entails. So Radon, I'm gonna kick it over to you for that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said there, Merce, that I would say we hear the most common about why a person is frustrated with their current advisor, the number one is communication. Number one on the list. They say, you know what? We lived through a pandemic. We lived through a downturn. We lived through all these things. And I never, ever hear from my advisor. And so it frustrates me because I feel like I'm always the one reaching out to them. They're never reaching out to me in any way. They're not communicating in any kind of a way. So we just don't even know what's going on. Say super nice whenever I reach out to them, but they never reach out to me. So then that segue, what would I look for then in a new advisor? Well, I think number one should be then do some research and find out, how do they communicate? How do they communicate so that you can make sure that you're going to get what you need, the information you're going to need? So check that out. Ask them, what's your communication? How does it work? How are you going to communicate with me? How often are you going to communicate with me? And if they start, I don't know, hemming and hawing, then don't use that advisor, right? So let's just talk though about some other reasons why you might look for another, or what you would look for in the new advisor. So I think first of all, let's just talk about specialization. We think about doctors, and when we think about doctors have a general practice or general, some doctors can kind of come in, they can help you with the general stuff. But if you really have a major issue, you want a specialist. You don't want a generalist dealing with a major issue. And we can think about things that could be in that category. But if you're close to or in retirement, we feel that you should work with a specialist. You should work with somebody who focuses on that as a part of their practice. I think another really big one, and we say this every time we meet with somebody who's talking to us about wanting to come work with us, or that, questioning us about things, is that the personality should mesh. We never, ever will ever, and I say that strongly, ever try to talk someone into becoming a client. We just will not do it. We do not try to convince somebody that we're right. We are going to explain what we do, how we do it. And if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't fit, then we're going to refer that person to somebody else. And I think if you're talking to an advisor, and you should never feel like, you know what, that personality just doesn't mesh, but I'm going to try to give them a try. Maybe they're hard closing you, or they're doing, just back away from that situation. It really needs to make sure you have that real mesh of personality. The other is goal alignment. If you're thinking, let's just say that you're a person who goes, I want my money to grow, but I have an aversion to major risk. But you're talking to another advisor, and that advisor is talking to you about why you need to take more risk. I would say back away. You don't want to be in that scenario. Or let's say that the person is telling you to go into a product, they're trying to sell you a product, and you're trying to convince you that this one product is the best product in the whole wide world, but you don't like it. But they're just really trying to tell you that you should like it. I don't think that's a good goal alignment. So look for goal alignment. Now, we also believe that it makes a lot of sense to work with an advisor that takes a holistic approach. So Merce, could you just explain what holistic means to us. Now, I know that it can mean different things to different people, but what holistic means to us, and then what they could look for if they're looking for an advisor that they want to be holistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Holistic it's a great term because it kind of says it in the word. It's whole. You're wholly looking at the whole plan. And so it's not just the investments. It's not just the market. It's not just how you're going to make money and earn some interest. It's not just the money. We want to look at every little facet that comes with retirement. So yes, the money's important, but also the money is going to have some tax issues. You've got IRAs that are pre-tax. You've got Roths that are tax-free. You got brokerage accounts that have different types of tax rules. So you want to be able to come up with a plan, the investment plan that combines with taxes. And then taxes are also intertwined with Medicare, right? So you turn 65, you become eligible for Medicare. Well, there's some tax issues there as well that you want to be aware of. And then also, what is Medicare? How do you do it? How do you pick the premiums and all that stuff that goes into it? It can be overwhelming. Social Security, that's not really part of your investments at all, but it has a huge impact on the overall retirement plan. Do you take it early? Do you wait till full retirement age? Do you wait till 70? There's a lot of decisions that need to be made there. And pretty much once you make that decision on Social Security, it's kind of set in stone. And so you want to make sure you make the right one, or at least one that feels good to you. So having some analysis done there is very important. The estate plan, once again, it's not the investments, but the estate plan really ties heavily into the investments in the sense of, well, if there's money left over, how is it and who is it going to, and how is it being transferred, and is it being done in the most efficient manner? Is it being done by the way that I would like to have seen it done? So those are just a few. There's so many other things under there, like long-term care insurance, life insurance. Do we need to buy more life insurance? Do we have enough? What are our goals there? So we have a client the other day that said, hey, do you guys have any advice on how to buy a car these days? Buying a car is overwhelming. It's almost as overwhelming as some of these other decisions now because there's so much competition out there. So we are currently trying to figure out some type of program for that. And, we didn't really think about that, but a client said we all struggle with this. And so it makes sense. So that's part of the holistic approach. Everything that comes in retirement, the more advice or more help we can offer in that outside of the investments. While yes, the investments, and I can't say that enough, they are important. There's a lot of other things that are important to that too. So just a high level on what a holistic approach is. Now into the nitty gritty. When you're breaking up with someone, we know that is difficult. It can be uncomfortable. You may not even want to do it just because you don't want to have the conversation. And sometimes you don't always have to have the conversation. So people ask us sometimes when they've decided to move over to us and work with Peace of Mind Wealth Management, hey, how do I break up with the advisor that I've been with for 20 years? And what do we tell them, Radon?
Yeah. So, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. Depending on the relationship, depending on how often you have communicated with them in the past, you might take a couple different routes. One could simply be an email. You could just send them a nice email, explain the situation. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Some people feel the need to call the person. Very few, but some feel the need to go see the person. In my mind, I always tell people, keep it simple. Don't make it an overly complicated scenario. So if I'm going to email them, I email them. If I'm going to call them, I call them. If I feel like I want to go see them, I can go see them. But whatever we do, keep it simple. And here's what I mean by that. There is no reason to go into a tremendous amount of over-explaining. A lot of times when we over-explain something, it comes across that we're being critical of the relationship. And human nature is if somebody comes to me and they're critical about our relationship, I start to defend the relationship. It then becomes this negative deal. It becomes this thing where now I'm trying to explain why I left or why I'm leaving. They want to defend why they did what they did, and it's just not productive. So when we keep it simple, think about the productivity of that, right? So I simply say, dear advisor, if I were writing an email, I just want to tell you that I appreciate all the good things you've done for me over the years. Now think about that statement. even if they've done some bad things, I don't appreciate those. I appreciate all the good things you've done for me over the years. That's a true statement, right? So I appreciate all the good things you've done for me over the years, but we have decided, or I have decided, that I feel better served with a different advisor. This is not to criticize you or our relationship, but I feel for me and my family, this is the move I need to make. I felt it necessary to just give you a heads up. It's just that simple. See, now that person's not trying to defend anything. They say, hey, this person's acknowledging that what I did was good. This person also is telling me that it's just a better fit. There's just no way to argue that one. Even if they decide to argue that a little bit, it's going to minimize it tremendously. So again, tell them you appreciate all the good things, but you've made a decision and it's the best for you and your family, and that this is going to be moved. But do you have to communicate with them? You do not. When you go to a new advisor, and we're going to talk about that on our next Wednesday retirement in action episode, but you don't have to tell them, because the process begins. They don't need that advisor to sign off on anything to have those assets move. And we'll talk about that in our next week episode. But anyway, we hope that this has kind of given you the why would you break up with them? What would you look for in the new one? And then how to do it. So we hope that's been beneficial. By the way, if you're listening to this and you think you'd like to have all this in some kind of format that you could read through and have it in front of you for notes, we actually have an article on our podcast, on our website, rather, pomwealth.net/blog. We have a whole blog article on this particular topic to help walk you through, so you got all those notes right in front of you. But next week, this is what we're going to do. Next week, we're going to explain how to move the money. So we've talked about how to break up. Now, how does the money move? And we're going to walk you through all those steps so you kind of know what to expect. So we look forward to talking to you next week. Have a good week.
We hope this video has given you some confidence and clarity as you plan for a worry-free life in retirement. But what else do you need? We have created a complimentary video course called 3 Keys to Secure Your Retirement. This video walks you through step by step what you need to do to get ready for retirement. You can also check out our podcast called Secure Your Retirement. You can subscribe below.
For more retirement tips, watch this video. Create your retirement income plan. Also, click here to subscribe to our podcast, Secure Your Retirement. If you like this video, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and share it with your friends.